Well, my name is Reshard Neal, and I would consider myself a visionary. What I try to do is just dedicate my everyday life to helping each individual become, I guess, a better version of themselves, but really to transform them in the sense of making their life more balanced. So, the theory that I profess or that I just put out there is SHOR, SHOR, and it stands for spirituality, health, which is mental and physical, occupation, which is just your calling, and recreation, which is the time to relax so you can continue on your stride. So through that is how I'm trying to influence and help the world.
Perfect. And now, how would you say that SHORE represents and how that is implemented in your own life?
How it implements in my own life? Well, um, as a young man trying to accomplish, I'd say great things or just big things in general, in the sense of like just being a contribution to the world. The S spirituality is where this all started. For myself, my rougher years were between ages 14 and 17, and then also again through about 18 to early 20s. And through that is I found myself developing a better relationship with a higher power. And in the videos I do or just when I'm speaking to someone, I don't really try to tell anyone which way to sway as far as religion is concerned. I feel like the most important thing is that intangible force, that intangible power that operates in our everyday lives. And if you just pay attention, you can see it. Health, the mental health and the physical health. My background's in psychology and philosophy. That's what I went to school for. So from that point on, I was all about the mind and the greatness of the mind and how diverse and how complex it is, and also how important it is to nurture it and to feed it good information and to just take care of yourself. Health on the physical side, I'd say around 22, I started going to the gym regularly. And my mom's a phys ed teacher, her brother's a phys ed teacher, so fitness was always there in my life, and she had us playing sports early. So I always knew the benefit of sports too, as far as longevity in life and just helping you to feel good. That was my connection with health, as far as fitness is concerned. The way it made me feel, the therapy of it all. Occupation. When I say occupation, I don't mean a job. I just mean the sense of we have a desire to output energy, and if you're going to do the output of energy, why use that energy that we won't necessarily get back because it's only transferred? I mean, every day we have a certain amount of energy. Why give it all to a job that you really don't care about or is not catering to your needs at all or your calling? So the occupation is important because it's important for us to follow our hearts. And if we don't, we're gonna, I feel like, die a little bit every single day. If your heart is beating and you're not listening to it, it's that beat starts to like kind of deaden, and it's not really, you lose your passion and you lose the it factor of life or just the amazement of life. Recreation, that's either you could, for example, all these pillars kind of blend into each other. So when I say recreation and feeling good and relaxing, you can go to the gym, which is getting your physical health taken care of, but then you also feel good when you're done with the endorphins being released. That's therapy. Having a healthy circle of friends, traveling, doing things that are just fun and not having so much meaning as all the other things I just explained. So in my life, I try to incorporate all four of those things in one way or another, and that's pretty much that.
Awesome. And now, with being a visionary and how you feel that balances in your life, like how do you when did you make that switch of doing regular stuff and being where what, okay, this is my life's purpose and this is what I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
When did that switch happen?
Well, that switch happened when, like I said, when I was going through like my tougher times. There was an awakening moment where I was just like, I learned more about myself, and that opened my eyes to a whole lot of things. And a higher power is what kind of governed me there, like through, like I said, psychology, philosophy, as well as just soul searching. I came to a threshold where it was like, boom, and slowly but surely from that point on, I started becoming happier internally. And I realized that that's the real prize. Everything else falls in line after that, because when things weren't right internally, my grades were bad. I wasn't the best employee. My relationships were failing, right? So, but when the switch happened within me, I just had like everything else, it meant so much, and everything else I started to look at everything else differently. I had new eyes, so to speak, that I was looking through, and that changed the whole playing field. And with that being said, I think when someone's really genuinely happy, they can't help but to want to spread that energy amongst others. It's infectious. So I started saying like, well, what can I do with this? Like, I feel good, and I have a story. I have a storyline where I could say like, you know, I've been through this, or I could just look at my life, and I'm like, how can I influence the next person who may be 14, 16, 25? It doesn't matter. Going through what they're going through, how can I be some form of asset to them? And I was just like, okay, social media. That's what my generation. Social media is huge. So I'm like, that's what I got to capitalize on, because I'm naturally an introvert. If I wasn't trying to do anything as far as like accomplishing something great, I would care less about posting myself on any platform. But that's the playing field that we're on now, and I'm just trying to capitalize on that. And really, I've been working on a book for these past couple of years, and that's where I would say my real talent lies, or real gift lies. Just when I can sit down, collect my thoughts, and put an expressive piece of work together, I feel like that's where people really understand, you know, what I'm trying to do. And social media for the time being is a good outlet to kind of give them a taste. So.
Can you talk more about, you said that that hard period?
Yeah.
What happened?
So I remember when I was like 14, I didn't know what was going on. Things just started changing. Like, you got to understand, someone 14 they don't have the idea of like, well, this is called post-traumatic stress disorder. We got this thing is paranoia or whatever. I don't know any concepts. I just know that I'm changing. I'm starting to get more stressed out. Literally, what I'm looking out of my eyes is like the world became dark to me, and like just a depressive mood, and just feeling lost and confused, and going through all those years like just trying to figure it out. And I would see that in hindsight, how they say hindsight's 20/20. When I look back, I realized that when my internal started changing, that's when I stopped playing basketball. That's when I hung out with a new crowd of friends. That's when I was doing things that I just wouldn't typically do if I was a happy person. So, and with that comes family problems, because you're changing. They don't understand what's going on the outside looking in. They're looking at it like, you're our firstborn son. You get good grades in school. We know you to be a happy person. You have everything, physically, like, we live in the Poconos. You should be happy or whatever. But that wasn't the case. So all that mixed in one called for like a tornado of just emotional distress. And when you can be in that point and then get out of it, and then like have a new breath of fresh air and new life, pretty much. That's what Novi means, new life. That's where I got that from. It's like it's just you feel like you feel powerful. You feel able to overcome anything. Other little things that people may stress about, you're like, this isn't that serious. Like, you could lose your whole mind. How about that? Like, you're getting mad about, someone left the dishes in the sink or whatever. Like, that stuff doesn't matter once you see life from a different scope. And I feel like, I say I know that I'm not the only person who has been through turmoil, right? We have people all over the world going through stuff. So what I want to do is just my part. Not saying that I know everything, but if I know at least enough of something, I can share that with someone, and it'll at least touch somebody. So that's where that comes from, and that's what that's being where I'm at now mentally, compared to where I would have been in that time, whether that was my dark night of the soul. I would say that the huge flip was perspective. Like, when we look outside, like, it's dark right now, but day comes out of night and night goes into day. They're just two different sides of the same coin. And when you look at life that way, there's no more perception of life's happening to me, and you're like trying to go this way, life's just hitting you. You're like, no, it's happening through me. This is a part of the process. And you realize that, I remember I watched an interview by Kanye West, and he was saying that he was referring to something else, and he was like, but basically before, because he was talking about landscape he was getting done on his property, and he was like, well, before you saw the landscape, we had to tear some stuff down, we had to rip some trees down, we had to do this and do that, pull up stuff from the roots, and then we can see the pretty, beautiful stuff. And that stuff happens in life all the time, in the sense of like, when we're depressed, when we're anxious, when we're paranoid, when we're like suffering from memory loss because of stress, and like our minds all over the place, we should try to embrace it. We don't judge it, and don't say like, oh, I love this thing, because you don't want to get too attached to that period of your life either. But appreciate it and look at it objectively, kind of like step out of it for a minute. This is where kind of like mindfulness and meditation comes in. Like, don't be so personally attached to it, but just observe it, realize it, say, okay, it's here today. I'm gonna be a little more introverted today. I'm gonna be a little more tired. I'm gonna be a little more to myself. I'm not gonna really be in the mood, and that's fine. we've been taught that this is bad, right? We've been taught that if you're feeling negative, or if you're feeling mean, or you just want to lash out, that's bad, right? You get put in timeout for that as a kid, or you may get a spanking for that, right? You fall off your bike when you're learning how to ride a bike, and your mom comes to you and says, "Oh my God, are you okay? Is everything all right? You should have worn the knee pads." Whatever. We want to be safe. We think that everything is just binary like this. I mean, I think binary is the word, but basically we just want things to be one way, like black or white. But it's like so much of a blend into it. Like those pains of falling off the bike is what's going to help to teach you how to stay on the bike. And when you see someone who can ride a bike in a fluent, easy way, they're carrying all those lessons. They're not just carrying the good part. They're not just carrying the part where now I know how to do it. We have to go through the grind, through the grit, through all that stuff, because really we wouldn't know what happiness is without darkness, and we wouldn't even appreciate what we have once we get it, or really have the keys. Because they say once a guy makes $1 million, or any person makes $1 million, you can put them anywhere in the world with nothing and they'll find a way to make the $1 million again. Why is that? Because it wasn't the money that made them. It was who they became throughout the process. Now it doesn't matter where you put them, what the circumstance is, I already got the key, so what does it matter? If you don't go through the hard time, though, if you don't go through the struggle of having to figure it out, then it's like someone who wins the lotto overnight. They don't have the character of someone who has this amount of money. They didn't put in the work of someone who has this amount of money, so therefore what? They lose it just as quick, because it didn't really mean nothing because you didn't go through the process. So I think that's what it really is. I mean, you have to love the grind. You have to love the process. Even if you're at this point in your life where you feel like this is the worst time of my life, I would wish this on nobody. I wish this never happened. Understand that, trust me, like they say in, I used to work at a drug and alcohol rehab. They say this too shall pass. That will pass, trust me. And then you're going to get to the other side of life. But if we don't sit there and like, extract all the lessons from those dark times, or like really just appreciate it. You ain't gotta love it. You don't gotta say, yeah, I'm so happy that, I broke my leg today or whatever, but just be aware of it. Understand this is part of the process. Extract the lessons you can from it. Then when things start changing a little bit, because we are natural, we're part of nature, just like nature has seasons, we have seasons. We're gonna be sometimes shining like the sun. We're gonna be energetic and ready to go. Sometimes we're gonna be like the winter. So as you're going through these seasons, if you don't pay attention, if you hate the winter so much that you don't learn nothing from it, or you hate being whatever state you're in for the moment so much, even when that season changes and the summertime comes for you inside your body, you're going to be right back at winter pretty quick, because you never really learned those lessons. You never really